Okay, so continuing on from the last video, we were showing you a lot of useful bash shortcuts that make things easier, or commands that make things easier. So bash history is another thing that is very useful, that saves you time. So basically what bash history does is it maintains a list of all the commands that you run, and they end up getting saved in the /.bash_history file. So when you close out of a terminal or log out, it basically will save any of the commands that you ran into that file, so then you can use them again in the future. So the easiest way to go through the history file is you can use the up and down arrow keys, which you've seen me do on occasion, use the up arrow key. But if you want, you can also use Control P and the Control N. And that works as page up and page down. Now, the main way that you'll search for bash history, if you want to run a command, is to do the Control R, and then you can start typing, and it will search the history file in reverse order, so from the oldest to the newest. The newest command through to the oldest command. You can press enter to run it. Now, I'm not going to read through this, the easiest way is to demonstrate it. Control S searches from the beginning of the file to the end of the file for a command to run. History by itself will list all the history commands with the numbers in front of it. Exclamation mark will run the last command that you ran. It will show it and run it. Exclamation mark number will run a specific command from the history file. Exclamation mark text will search for a command to run, and this is the text at the start of the command, so it has to be at the start. It'll look for that and run the last one that was executed. Exclamation mark $sign will be the same as the last argument on the previous command. Exclamation mark question mark, and then text will search anywhere in the line for that particular text. History-C will clear the history. History-R will read the history from the bash file into the history memory command list. History-A will append any history in memory to the end of the history file, and history-W will override the history file with whatever you've got in memory. So I know that is probably a little bit fast and a little bit confusing, so we'll jump into a terminal and we'll demonstrate it. So if I type history by itself, you can see that I have 165 entries in there, and you can see that from the last video there's things in the history here. But if I cat /bash_history, you'll see that those commands aren't in there because I haven't saved the history. And in fact, if I put line numbers on the start, you can see there's only 142 in here, not 168. So what's in memory can be different to what's actually in the bash history file, but we'll get into that further in a minute. So if I wanted to do an ls-l, for example, I can't just do !ls, because the last ls command that was run at line 160 doesn't have the -l. So !ls just runs the first, searching this from the start of the line, runs the first command that it finds with the ls. So if I wanted the ls-lh, I can see that it's command 153. It's probably not 153 anymore. Actually, it probably still is. So if I go !153, you can see that we've got the ls-lh, yes. So that's what !, and then a number does. Control L will clear the screen. That probably should have been in the last video as well, but anyway, Control L will clear the screen, or clear will also clear the screen. So let's jump back to my slide. Control R, haven't demonstrated. Last argument, text anyway. Alright, so if we wanted to, if we look at our history command now, the last command that we ran was ls. So if we go !ls, it would run this one. But if we wanted to go -lh, what we could do is go !, !, -lh, because we want to run ls-lh. And it will search anywhere in the line, and it finds the -lh. Now, I guess for ls, I mean, it doesn't make that much of a difference, but let's say you wanted to cd into something that had a unique path or something. You could type like the last part of the path. So for example, dir3 here. If we look at our history file, so command 157, we cd'd into dir2. So we could go !, dir2, and it will cd us into there without having typed the full long path. Now we could type, let's say, Control R to do a reverse search. Now, let's say we wanted to do the IP address show. We could just type actually I made a spelling mistake there. So Control G exits out of that search. But if I do Control R again and I start to type show, now you can see that I got IP address show. And I've only had to type SHO to get that. And then I could press enter and I could run the command. Now Control S is meant to do a forward search, but in this virtual machine setup, Control S doesn't seem to pull up the search, but you normally would do Control R anyway. Now with Control R, let's say we wanted to search the ls command. See here you got ls-lh, but we know that there's other ls commands that we've run, so we could go Control R again and it finds ls, Control R again, ls-lh, Control R again, and if we keep pressing it, there we go, there we've got one that's ls-a. So we can just keep pressing Control R and it will search through all the different LS's that we've run. Now if we wanted to edit the command, we could press the escape key, and then it will allow us to edit it. If you move your left and right arrow key, it will also jump out and let you edit it. So anything that I've missed? Okay, last argument. Alright, so let's say we cd back to our home directory. Now for the last argument, let's say we make a directory. I haven't shown this command yet, but make directory. And let's say we make a directory called new dir. Now let's say we want to cd into that directory. What we could do is we could type cd, ! and then the $, and that basically puts the last argument, which in this case is new dir. So we go cd, and you can see here it went cd new dir. So now we are in new dir. You can see new dir there, but if we do pwd, you can also see home training new dir. So I'm just going to go cd by itself to go back to my home directory, and I'm going to remove that directory. New dir. Okay, so now if we look at our history command, you can see that there's 184 entries in there. But if I bring up a new terminal, Control-Shift-T will open a new tab. And if I run history here, you can see I've only got 141. So what I could do is I'll show you the history-c now. So let's say at the moment we run a command that requires a username and a password. So we've run that command, and in our in-memory history, you can see that we've got our password, our username and password stored there. Now we don't want to save that to our history file. So we type history-c to clear our history. So if we type history, now we only have one entry in our history that's in memory. So if we cat the bash underscore history file, it's still got a big bunch of stuff in there. So if we wanted to read our history back in, we could type history-r. So now if we type history, instead of having one entry, we've got 144 again. Now, let's say that we wanted to have the latest history list that's in this window that has 184 entries. What we could do in this window is we could write the history to the file. So we just want to append whatever's in memory here to our history file. So now if we cat the bash history file, you can see that it's got all the latest stuff. Now if we do the -n, you can see it's got 187. History probably show 188 now. Yep, 188 with the new command. So over here, we've appended the history, so it's probably going to have 184 or 185 in here. So if we cat dash n dot bash underscore history, so our last history command was writing it to the file, but history in memory on this machine only has 146. So if we wanted to read it in, we could go history-r, and if we type history, now you can see that it's jumped into the 300s. So history-r, history. There we go. So we basically read it in again on top of what we already had. So now we have 187 here. So those commands are fairly useful. I haven't shown you writing the history, but writing the history, what it will do is yeah, let's show that quickly. All right, so let's say we clear our history. So if we run history, it'll be blank. So now if we go history-w, it'll write whatever's in memory, which is one line. Or it might be 2 lines after we do this command. To the history. So that's our actual bash history file. Now, we may not want to lose all of our history that we have. So in this window, we still have history in memory. So if we wanted to, we could go history-w. So now we go back over here and we cat it again. You can see that we've got 189 in there now. So that's a fairly solid overview of history, showing you writing history files, reading history files, so using all the different command options. I want to try and keep these videos small, so I will end the video there.